All right, shalom, shalom. It's Brother Taz Dakir of Israel. Before I get started, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone. Today we're going to go to Hosea chapter 6, going into the Hebrew. So Lord willing, you're edified, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone. Let's get right into it. Right? So Hosea chapter 6, Hosea 6 and 1. Right? Just get this set up right here in the blue letter. Shalom to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000, which are the heads, the teachers. In the last days, through the power of Spirit, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kwadash, and Shalom to the great multitude, which altogether are known as the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, 12 tribes, which consist of Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans today, of indigenous Negro and Taino descent, right? And Lord willing, you're edified, right? So let's get right into it. Hosea chapter 6 and verse 1. So it reads, Go and let us return unto the Lord, because he had torn and he will heal us. He had smitten and he shall bind us up. Which reads, Lakwa na shawaba al Yahweh kaya hawa tarap waya rapa'a nawa yaka waya chabash nawa. Now that word chabash just means to bind up, to wrap in the sense of wrapping around, something wrapped. To wrap, to bind, right? Verse 2, he shall cause us to live 2 days and 2 days. In the day the third, he will raise us up, and we shall live before him, right? Yechayanawa, ma yam yam, bayawam, ha shalayashaya, yakwam nawa, wa nachaya, lapanyawa. Right? So the third day, we're in the third day, right? In the latter days, when the remnant will wake up, prophesy the end of Esau Edom's kingdom, right? Which is the so-called white man, right? The end of the heathens rejoicing over the nation of Israel being downtrodden, like it says in the book of Revelation chapter 11, right? After 3 days and a half, the spirit of life came in unto them, and they prophesied, right? In sackcloth, right? Which is why we don't have the costly garments. We don't have, right? We're not trying to have 10 people sitting around holding post, right? We have a simple job, and that's prophesy the downfall of this wicked kingdom, right? Prophesy the coming of the Charagma, Revelation 13 and 16, the third woe, which is the third world war, which will come right after the Charagma is issued, right? And then you're going to have all hell break loose, martial law, FEMA camps, the economic collapse of America, Babylon, great world economic collapse, and the remnant at the very last trump, meaning the last moment, getting delivered via the chariots of the Most High God, which are the modern day UFOs, UAPs, according to the Holy Bible. Second coming of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, right, who you call Jesus Christ, which is a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah, right? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kwadash, which is the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is a divine inspiration that has given us the ability to break down the prophetic word and reveal it in its entirety, right? So the second day represents what? The beginning of that awakening which happened during the time of the ancient Roman Empire, where you had what? The Jews and the Gentiles, which are the same nation, but one of them were practicing their laws and customs, The others left off from their laws and customs. Now the nation of Israel as a whole has left off from the laws and customs, the old paths, like it says in the book of Jeremiah, right? But the remnant are seeking the Most High God while he still may be found via his word and the understanding that is going out, right? So that's what is about the second day. The third day, we are in the third day. 3.5 years, that's 350 years, 1619 to 1970, when the truth came out of 1 West Harlem, New York, 125th Street, right? So now we're here, and the word is going out like a light lighting onto the house of Israel, right? Which is being given out by the servants of the Lord, right? The servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? Via the Holy Spirit, Rakah Kodash, right? So it says, we shall live in his sight, right? Verse 3 says, Hosea 6 and 3, and Hosea 6 and 3, and let us know to pursue, to know unto the Lord. Like the dawn which is prepared, which is going forth, and he shall come like the showers unto us, um, like the latter and former rain unto the earth, right? Which reads, Wa Nadaya Na Radapa La Dayath Atha Yahweh Ka Shahar Na Kawan Mataza Awa Wayaba'a Ka Gasham Lanawa Kama Lakwash Yara Ratza. The word Radap means to chase, or as in to go after, right? Shachar means the dawning of the day, right? Because we're in spiritual nighttime, which is Esau Edom's reign, the wicked are reigning, right? Which is why Yahushua is called the morning star, right? This word is compared unto a light, right? And that light is being prepared to go forth, and it's already going forth. Book of Habakkuk says, the knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua will cover the earth like waters, right? And he shall come. That word Gasham means shower, right? Like the latter and former rain onto the earth, right? Because like it says 2 days he will revive us, because you had the Great Commission, what's called the Great Commission during the times of the ancient Roman Empire, right? Which that was the former rain. The latter rain is the actual awakening in the regeneration going forth, right? So you have the early rain, and then you have the latter rain, right? That word for latter rain is yara, which that root means to direct, right? You have the latter rain, then you have the former rain. You have the 2 days, uh, then you have the third day, right? Yahushua came on the scene, prophesied the signs of the end of this wicked kingdom, and then you have the third day, which is compared to the 3.5 days, right? The 3.5, right? Not only does it represent years, but you can precept that with verse 2. So verse 4 says, "What shall I do unto thee, Ephraim? What shall I do unto thee, Judah? And your loving kindness is like the cloud in the morning, and like the dew early that goeth." It says, "Ma Aisha Laka Aporium, Ma Aisha Laka Yahawada, Wa Hasad Kam, Ka Ainan, Bakwar, Wakatal, Ma Shakim Halak." Right? What is that talking about? It's talking about uh, the nation of Israel being the last nation to be established, right? And the last will be first, like Yahushua said, right? It's talking about, that's not talking about all nations of the earth, right? We're scattered amongst other nations, but it's talking about a line, a lineage, right? Which is part of the mystery of the Gentiles, that we look like other nations also, that, right, you have the revelation of Yahushua, you have the Heavenly Father's name, which is revealed, right? So that goodness as the morning cloud, right, represents what? Rain that is coming, right? That morning cloud, when you see the cloud, you see it, right, rain being prepared, right, which is symbolic with the nation of Israel, right, being cast away, and then their return being prophesied, and then the Lord bringing forth the judgment, right, onto the heathen, Esau, Edom, 2/3 that will be coerced and taken, the charagma, Revelation 13:16. And it says, like the early dew that goeth, right? Because you can compare this truth to a spiritual startup, right? Which you have to get in the game early, right? You have to right, this sacrifice, which is a spiritual sacrifice, right? It is compared unto, right, like I said, a startup which you invest early, right? And this is what the Lord said, that the remnant will receive this understanding, and ultimately, right, will enter in other men's labors, right? Which is what we have done, like it says in the book of St. John, right? Our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that have labored for decades upon decades, right? Bringing us into the truth of the Spirit. And now, right, the prophecies going out, right? Are continuing to go out, right? Via each individual's particular lot, right? Like that dew, right? That that go with away, right? As in it goeth forth, right? Hosea 6:5. Let's look at the words, the various words we're going to go into. Actually, it's just two of them. You have Ainan, meaning a cloud. I believe that also means augur, as in one that looks for weather patterns and which is prohibited, you know, and predicts particular battles and things of that sort, which they used to do back in ancient times, right? And today it's still done in some form, some shape or form, some way, shape, or form. You have tall, meaning dew, shakyam, the root word is shakam, meaning shoulder or early, right? As in to rise up early, right? Hosea chapter 6 and verse 5 reads, "And so I have hewed I've hewed them upon the prophets. I have slain them upon the sayings of my mouth. And it says, and thy judgments as a light have gone forth, which reads Al Khan Khatazab Taya Ba Nabaya Ayim Harag Thayim Ba Moria Paya Wa Mashapat Yaka Awar Yataza'a. The word Khatazab just means to hew. Nabaya Ayim is the prophets, which is how this word is going out, right? We don't claim to be those men, any particular men, right? Like Yahushua said, we're called his servants, right? His friends, because we know his will, right? The prophets are actually speaking via the word, right? Because these accounts have been recorded, their words have been recorded, and now, right, we are expounding on those words, right? So it says, Al Khan, or actually already went over that. And that's the job of the servants of the Lord, right? To do the Lord's will. And just like the those that who the Most High God has sent since the days of old, right? You read particular men, Noah. You read about um, Abraham. You read about Joshua, right? David prophesied and wrote many psalms. King Solomon, right, wrote many dark sayings, right? So on and so forth, right? So the Lord always had a mouthpiece. His voice is what? This word, right? Which is in the form of a solemn warning. Ezekiel chapter 33, right? That trump being blown is what? The things that, the testimony, those that have the testimony of Yahushai, Hamashiach, which is the spirit of prophecy, right? So we're not in the spirit of, right, like these other camps, gimmicks, double speak, right? We're telling you plain and clear, 2/3 will be cut off. The third woe is coming. Revelation 13 and 16, the charagma, right? And all hell is going to break loose, right? Then Yahushua is going to return, deliver the remnant, right? And the Most High God is going to turn America Babylon Great into a lake of fire, right? World War III, he's going to scorch the earth, right? So it says, verse 6, because loving kindness I desire and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings, which reads Kaya Hasad, Hapataza Daya, Wala'a Zabach, Wadayath Alahayim, Ma Ailath. Hapataza just means to desire or to be attentive to something, right? So if you want to say like pay attention, you would say um, Shalama Napat Nachapataza. So it says, and not sacrifice. So the Lord doesn't desire, right? Sacrifice, right? Like actual, like Paul the Apostle said, or in the book of St. John, the works of the flesh, right? The carnal works, right? Which is in the form of other philosophies, right? They have certain stipulations. You got to do this at a certain time. You got to do this, right? Which are yokes that are created, right? And to keep you from and to confuse you and to keep you from the truth, right? So you have right, um like it says here, loving kindness is what? Reproving you jakes, right? That is the sincerest form of charity, like Paul the Apostle said, right? Which is reproofs, right? Reproofs and instruction are the way of life, like it says in the book of Proverbs. I believe that's 6 and 14. Let's get that real quick. What does it say in the book of Leviticus? It says, "Do not suffer sin to fall upon your people." Right. So you can't be mad when you get reproved, right? Because that is part of the manner of life that the Lord has commanded. So it's not just about, right, uh, um, keeping the Sabbath day. It's not just about the high holy days, right? It's not about, right, the out what is correct, right? Doing the right thing, right? At the end of the day, because that is the command. That is ultimately, right, the sum of the matter, right? Is obedience, right? In the form of what? Your conscience bearing witness, right? So Proverbs 6:23 says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life." Right? Let's get that in Leviticus. That's what your other camps have. You got hate in your heart, right? IUIC, Bishop Nathaniel calling us the bum camp, right? When all we're doing is calling out your hypocrisies, right? There's a certain way that the Lord said you got to teach His word, right? The understanding has to be given correct in the correct way. You can't just say this means this and this scripture means this, right? Because you're causing confusion, right? So Leviticus 19, and we'll start at Leviticus 19:16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So this is what you have other camp leaders do, right? They have hate in their heart because we are telling them that you're not breaking down the word correctly, right? Constantly bringing us up in the form of what? Calling us, right, grunts, right? And but you can't defend your particular. You can't make a stance on the particular thing that we brought out concerning, right, the way you're breaking down the word, right? So these are things. It's not just about, right, like they like what was going on back then, which was a sacrifice. The Pharisees, right? They wanted to be seen of men. They had the long phylacteries, right? They wanted to be seen in the synagogues, right? They right, they prepared their sacrifices to a T, right? They paid the tithes of every single the cumin and right every single um itty every single bit of their tithes they calculated to a T, right? And then they boasted about it, right? Which is boasting in the works of the flesh, right? So they didn't get the point of the why the law was instituted, which is right. It gave a particular mindset, right? So that's what we're giving out, a particular mindset, right? Not like the like other camps. The first thing they say is, "Where's your fringes? Where's your fringes?" When the fringes never, they're not going to save you, right? Keeping the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that's what's going to save you, and receiving the understanding, the name, right? And ultimately, um, you have to be predestined since the foundation of the world, right? So these are those whom Yahushai spoke about, right? Those that follow the Lamb whatsoever he goeth, right? You're either right or you're not, right? Some people are just aren't right, and that's just how you were created, right? So it's not really that deep, right? It's really about right the Spirit bearing witness, right? You're either wicked or you're either righteous, right? There's no in between. There's no right dancing around the topic, right? So back to the verse, which is verse 6. So it says, I desire, let's go to the KJV. For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. Verse 7. And they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. There they have been treacherous unto me. So it reads, Wahama ka Adam Ibarwa Baryath Sham Bagadwa Baya. Right? Because what does it say in Psalms 82 that, right? The world is out of course. Why? Because the sons of God are in rulership, right? And that's how it's supposed to be, right? Because the Lord, right, has prepared, like it says in the book of Hebrews, right? Like a man chastises his son, so has he chastised his people, right? But two-thirds, they like to get their ass whooped, you know? And so it says there, they have been treacherous upon me, which is there is what? In the various captivities, right? Mainly these latter days, right? The regeneration, right? The new Rome, right? America, Babylon the great city, the the city of harlots, right? What is called Mystery Babylon, right? Which is not a mystery anymore, right? Uh, verse 8 says, Hosea 6 and 8, Gilead is a city of doers of iniquity. They have trekked, or they have treaded blood upon it, right? Which it says, Galad, Quaryath, Payalia, Awan, Iquaba, Madam. So it says in the KJV that it is polluted with blood, right? The word Iquab, it means to supplant, heel, or heel, meaning the back of your foot. It's another way to say tread it down, right? Or polluted, like it says here, or trekked, right? Let's look at that word trek. A long or arduous journey, especially one made on foot. You also have draw a vehicle or pull a load. Basically, it's just a figurative way to say to tread or to downtrodden, right? Verse 9, and like those that wait for a man in troops, they are joined the priests in the way, says, says, in the way they murder in the morning because um, because they plot their doings, or they devise their doings, right? That's what Jake does in the world. He plots, right? This is what Jake was doing back then, right? Like troops and troops, they waited for men, right? The company of priests. So even the priests were going the hell off, right? And 90% of the time, right, it has to do with either a woman or money, right? So it says in a way that word says consent, but that's not the actual word for consent, right? That word is shakam, meaning back, shoulder, or let's see what the Safaria says. So it says, oh, okay, so it says, and like those that wait for man and troops, they are joining the priests in the way. Uh, so it says by consent, but basically it just means in the morning. The way they murder in the morning because their lewdness, see that word zama, it actually means a devise or to devise, to plan, to plot, right? They plan their doings, right? Which is their sin, right? Their iniquities, right? So it reads Wa kahakya ayash gadadium kabar gahanium darak yaratazahwa shakama kaya zama ashwa. Verse 10, in the house of Israel I have seen an horrible thing. There they they there fornicates Ephraim, Israel is defiled, which says Babayat Yasha'ala Ra'ayataya Shayar Yarya Shum, Zanath, La Aparium, Na Tama'a, Yasha'ala. So like I said, like it says here in the King James translation, says, I've seen a horrible thing in the house of Israel. There is whoredom of Ephraim. Israel is defiled, right? Which Ephraim here, it's talking about, right, the tribe of Ephraim, right, which is the head tribe of the northern kingdom, right? And Israel, when it mentions Israel, that's talking about the northern kingdom as a whole, not the whole nation of Israel, right? Just to clear that up, because this is to whom Hosea is prophesying against, the northern kingdom, right? So it says, Hosea 6 and 11, even Judah has set a harvest for thee, in which I had returned to the captivity of my people, right? So there's particular accounts that the southern kingdom took northern kingdom into captivity, right? And then they were commanded to release the captives, right? But you're not supposed to put your brethren into captivity in that kind of manner, but there was conflicts between northern and southern kingdom, right? And so it says, Gam Yahawada Shath Quatazayar Laka Ba Shawabia Shabath Amya. Chapter 7 and verse 1, which is the header is Ephraim's iniquity. Which says, according to the healing unto Israel, as in when I would have healed Israel, and was revealed the iniquity of Ephraim, right? Meaning then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the evil of Samaria, because they have committed falsehood and thievery, has came. That word pashat means to strip, right? Says to strip the troop without, as in the troop of robbers they spoil without, as in outside, right? Which reads Ka rapa'aya la yash'ala wana gala iwan aparium wa rayath shamarwan kaya payalwa shakwar wa ganab ya ba'a pashat gadad ba khawatazah. Right? So basically, Jeroboam the first, um, he caused the northern kingdom to rebel, right? But that was also prophesied that the Lord would strip the northern kingdom from the southern kingdom, right? That the kingdom would be rent, right? So basically, the Lord is saying, right, he would have continued the northern and southern kingdom, their dominion. But then Ephraim, right, came in and caused contention and division, right, which is Jeroboam the first. And he caused the northern kingdom go off, which is why it says the wickedness of Samaria. And then he started doing all kinds of iniquity, right? Hosea 7 and 2. So that's what was going on. You see, the Sepharia says, when I would heal Israel, the guilt of Ephraim reveals itself. The wickedness of Samaria, for they have acted treacherously, the thieves breaking in and bands raiding outside. Verse 2 says, they do not say, and do not say in their hearts, all, what is that? All their evil says that I remember now their doings now has returned their backslidings before my face. Before my face they are, right? So basically, they do not consider in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness, like it says here in the KJV. Now their undoings have beset them about; they are before my face, which reads, "Wabal ya amar wa la labab ma kol raitham zakarath zakarathaya aitha sabab ma ilal yaham nagad panya hayawa." Just like I read previously, that what was that in the book of Hosea? They say that the word of the Lord is just it's just air, right? So that's what Jake says, that the Lord is not going to visit them for their iniquity, right? Which happened with the northern kingdom being cast away, right? Which is the point of Hosea prophesying against the northern kingdom, because there was certain things that had to come to pass, right, during that time. So this chapter isn't necessarily speaking on future prophecy. These are things that had already happened, right? Hosea 7 and 3, upon their evil they made to rejoice the king, and upon, what's that word? Kahash. And upon their lies the princes, which reads, Ba Rayatham Yashamakwa Malak Waba Kahash Yaham Shoryim. So again, this is directed at Northern Kingdom, right? And Jake was going the hell off, right? Even today, I mean, you still see the same thing, right, happening with Jake. Even in the New Testament, right? They were telling our Lord, they said, you're crazy. They said he's beside himself. They said they said that he had a devil, right? They said that when Yahweh Shai said, "I go where you cannot go," right? They said, will he kill himself? When he was speaking particular parables, he was saying, you will drink my blood and eat my flesh. They thought he was literally talking about that, right? When that's not talking about that. Literally, right? That was figuratively for the Lord off being offered up to the Romans, and then the remnant getting grace off of that, right? Which is ultimately in these latter days, right? So verse 4 says, all of them are adulterers, like unto an oven that consumeth the baker, that ceaseth uh, from being fermented, which says, after he had kneaded upon the dough, even until it be leavened, right? So they went above and beyond with their fornications, their adulteries, right? Sacrificing the idols. There's so much Jake was doing in the Holy Land, right? They were probably, I mean, you even see that when you read about various accounts of the uh, the tribes here that came to the Americas, right? The Aztecs, the Mayans, the Native Americans, right? They were drinking blood. They were eating hearts. They were sacrificing. They were literally like sacrificing people, right? So it's no it's no surprise that, right, if that was happening back then, that would not surprise me, right? They're probably calling upon left hand spirits and all kinds of madness, right? You had some of the Aztecs, I believe they were drinking mercury. That's poisonous. That stuff is poisonous. So that's the things that they were doing, right? Committing adultery, robbing, killing, stealing, right? So it says, let's look at that word, tanawar, meaning oven, bayar meaning to consume, ma'apa, baker, right? That seizeth from raising the dough, as in from fermenting it, to knead, right? Lawash, batazak, which means unleavened dough, right? Kamatazah, right? Which is leavened bread, but it also represents symbolic for um, what is it? Ruthlessness, right? To be embittered, because leavened dough is sour, right? And I believe it's figurative for oppression, right? Hosea 7:5 says, In the day of our kings, they had made him sick, the princes, with bottles of wine, to draw out his hand unto the scorners, which is what happened with the Northern Kingdom rulers, right? The kings dealt with each other treacherously, right? Let's see, treachery of Northern Kingdom. Acts of the Northern Kingdom kings. Salakia. First Kings 13 and 14. Let's look that up. Let's just fast forward, see if we can find. Let's go to Nadab 1525. So you have, this is First Kings 15 and 25. It says, and Nadab the son of Jeroboam began to reign over Israel in the second year of Asa king of Judah. Reigned over Israel 2 years, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of his father, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin. And Baasha the son of Ahijah of the house of Issachar conspired against him, and Baasha smote him at Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines, for Nadab and all Israel laid siege to Gibbethon. So it says, even in the third year of Asa king of Judah did Baasha slay him and reigned in his stead. Right? So that's why it says that what? The officials of the king made him sick with wine and gave his hand to, like it says here, to scorners. Right? And that's talking about treachery. Right? It says, so it says, Yawam Malaknawa Ha Khalwa Shoryam Hamath Mayayan Mashak Yadwa Atha Lataza Tazayam. which it says the word hall means to make sick. With wine, no, the princes, with bottles, chama, which is actually talking about a skin bottle of wine to draw out his hand unto the scorners. As in, right, they constantly were giving him wine to get him intoxicated, right? Because they wanted him to be stupid, right? They didn't want him, right, to have any type of sense in him, right? Because when you're drinking wine, your judgment is not 100%, right? So that's what the officials were doing to the king, right? And this is just referencing treachery in general, right? So the scorners can scorn, right? That word for scorn is latazata, taza. Says to deride, to scorn, to mock, which is the root is lawataza. So it doesn't mean traitors, it means to scorners, right? Hosea 7 and 6, right? So you can look this up yourself. The reference of the various kings of Israel, how they came into power. You see, you had some of them reign for 7 days, 2 years, 24 years, 12 years, 28, 6 months, 1 month, right? Which is all the way to the last king of Israel, Hosea or Hosea. Hosea 7 and 6, because they come near, um, says because they came near like an oven uh, with their heart, and they're lying in wait all the night. It says sleepeth their baker sleepeth in the morning. He is consumed like the fire, like a fiery flame. Right. So even the baker was, going off. Right. Probably drinking flagons of wine. Right. Not doing his work properly. Right. Um, probably sipped a little too much and sat and passed out next to the oven, and he was he basically set himself on fire. And it says in the KJV they have made their heart like an oven, right? It's talking about them, Jake being vehement to do wickedness, right? While lying in wait, right, all the night. Meanwhile, the baker, right, their baker is somewhere in the royal palace, and he's sipping wine too, right? And then he passes out next to the oven, and then he sets himself on fire on accident. And then those that had been out all night that went to do some wickedness, They go back. The officials come back to the royal palace. They find the damn baker with a bottle of wine, and passed out and burned up, right? So it says, Kaya Kwarabwa Katha Nawar Laba Ba Arabma Kal Halayala Yashan Apama Bakwar Hawa Bayar Kaash Lahaba. The word Arab means to lie in wait. Yashan, to sleep. Their baker, right? Because again, this is talking about the previous verse. You had the princes making the king sick with bottles of wine, right? So that they can mock him once he's off his wits, not at his wits, right? And then they can slip in particular judgments there and, right, cause strife, right? So these are the type of accounts that really, I mean, it doesn't surprise you because that sounds like Jake, right? Vehement, right? Always ready to do evil, right? Um, so it says, verse 7 says, all of them, they are heated like an oven, they devour onto their judges, all their kings have fallen, and there is none that calleth among them unto me, which reads, Kalam Yakam Wa Kata Nawar Wa Kalwa Ata Shapat Yaham Kal Malak Yaham Napalwa Ayan Kwara'a Baham Al Yah. Now let's look up wine. See what precepts we can get. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 5:11. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that they continue until night, till wine inflame them. Isaiah 28:1. Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine, meaning philosophies, right? Isaiah 28:7. But they have also erred through wine and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up with wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. Isaiah 51:21. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Isaiah 55:1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. So this is the good type of wine, which is the word, right? Which is good, uh, sound doctrine, right? Sound words, right? Via the precepts, right? Let's get one more. Actually, that's it for that. Let's go back to Hosea 7:7. So basically, so the Lord is saying, none are calling on me. They're all heated like an oven, because that's what the book of Sirach says, right? It says, do not, right? That wine brings contention, right? And so on and so forth, right? And that precept where it says, Ephraim is like a fading flower, there's so many precepts that tells you that we mingled with other nations, but their their genes aren't like ours, right? So which is why, some of us look, like you have kids with a person that is not of your people. Sometimes they come out ugly, you know. Sometimes you know, they just look weird, you know. Which is why scriptures say to deal with your own people, you know. But I don't know. Some of these Edomite women, man, whew, smoking, you know. But I mean, like Elder Pastor says, we don't need you damn Eves, right? We really don't, to continue your lineage. You really don't need, we don't need you rebellious women, right? We can easily take a woman of another nation and put our seed in them, and then that's what carries on the lineage. It's the seed of the man, right? Which is what Elder Pastor says, right? For those who um, for those that are married and dealing with particular uh, women. Hosea 7:8 says, Ephraim among the peoples he is mingled. Ephraim has become unto a cake not turned. The word Igah means actually something cooked upon a stone, cake of hot stones, or cake baked on hot stones, right? So it says Aparium, Ba'amium, Hawa, Yatha Balal, Aparium, Haya, Igah, Balia, Hapakah. No, it's not saying uppercut like Street Fighter, right? No, that means um to turn, right? For example, turn the judgment to wormwood, like scriptures say, or to overturn, right? You got a half glass of water, you overturn it, and now it's empty, right? Which that is a sentiment Same as that precept in the book of Isaiah, right? A cake not turned means Ephraim comes in various colors, right? Ultimately, the whole nation, the nation as a whole, but most of Judah is for example, most of Judah they're pretty much dark skinned, or they have dark features, right? But Northern Kingdom is more so, you know, like a pancake. You got one side is brown, one side is white, right? Hosea 7 and 9, which says, "Strangers have consumed his strength, and he does not know it." Which says, "Even he, or even there are gray hairs scattered upon him, and he does not know." Right? What does it say in the book of Proverbs? Do not give your strength unto women that destroy kings. Right? Because there's particular heathen women that you don't necessarily want to deal with, right? Because they're just gonna right lead you away from the truth. But then there's particular heathen women that, you know, they're like the white woman. She knows her position, her place, right? She's very feminine, right? She knows how to, you know, tend to her husband. Why? Because that's how the society has taught white women. Even like you go back to the '60s, right? They always had that delicate um, demeanor because that's always been pushed into the mind of the so-called white woman, right? But then I mean, you got some of them that are like, what do they call them? Trailer trash. So it's a give and take sometimes. You know, sometimes you'll run into a decent Edomite woman. Sometimes you'll run into a what do they call it? I forgot the term. It's they call it a Actually, I'm not gonna say it because it's not really, it doesn't sound good. So sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you don't. You know, and the good ones are a dime a dozen, right? So what does that mean? Stranger devours his strength. He doesn't know it because Jake doesn't know that these heathens know who he is, right? Sometimes, you know, there are women out there that will just have a baby with you just so they can take you to court, right? Or stay with you because you got something to offer, right? And then they stress the hell out of you, right? But it's mostly the other nations, you know, especially now. You know, you can't really deal with the other nations like that, you know, because 9 times out of 10, there's an agenda behind them being around you, right? So you just have to move with wisdom at the end of the day. So it says, and he does not know, right? Meaning what? He's destroyed for lack of knowledge. He doesn't understand why uh, uh, why particular things are happening when he's dealing with this female, right? So verse 10 says, and answered the pride of Israel before him, and they have not returned unto the Lord their God, and do not seek him upon all this. And that's Jake, full of pride, right? Doesn't want to admit, right, that he's gone off, right? So it reads, Wa aina ka awan yasha'ala bapan yawa wala'a shabwa al Yahweh Allahayaham wala'a bakwashwa bakal za'ath. Verse 11 says, and has been Ephraim like a dove simple, there he has no heart. To Egypt he calls, to Assyria he has went, right? Which reads, Wa Yahaya Aparium Kaya Wana Pata Ayan Lab, meaning with no heart, as in no mind. It says, to Egypt he calls Matazarium Kwara'awa Ashawar Halakwa. They go to Assyria, which they went, Northern Kingdom went to Assyria first. And now you got Jake, you know, calling to Egypt, right? This is the new Egypt. This is right where Jake and other nations want to come, right? As a refuge, as a right, as a means to find a better way, right? But then you get caught up in the philosophies, right? You get dragged into um, doctrines of men, commandments of men, like Yahushua spoke about, right? America Babylon the Great is like a great mirage, right? When you're in the desert, you don't have any water, right? You see something afar off, and it looks like a spring, but then when you get close to it, it really wasn't a spring, right? It was a mirage. It was an illusion, right? It was thorns and thistles, right? Why? Because this America is a corporation. That's all it is, right? When they say we the people, what people is that talking about? It's not talking about Jake. That's for damn sure. You know? Hosea 7 and 12. According to which they shall go, I will spread out upon them my net. Like the fowls of heavens, I will bring them down. I will rebuke them like the hearing, like which has heard their congregation, right? That's basically Hosea saying to the northern kingdom, you know, you're going to realize that the Lord is going to mess you up because that's what I'm telling you now, right? That word parash means to spread. So it says ka ashar yalakwa a parash al yaham rashathya ka iwap hashemayim a rayadba a yasarma ka shamai la idathum. Ida means congregation. Verse 13 says, woe unto them because they have fled from me. Destruction is unto them because they have transgressed against me, and I have redeemed them, and they have spoken against me lies. That word is kazab. So it says, Awaya laham kaya nadadwa ma manaya shad laham kaya pashai wa baya wa anakya padama wahama dabarwa alya kazabium. Because Jake wants to run away from the curses. Can't run away from the curses, right? Which say you're gonna act a particular way towards your people. You're gonna hate them. You're gonna have particular living conditions. You're gonna be oppressed. You're not gonna prosper, right? Yeah, Jake is prospering now, but that's because Esau is. That's how you. If you know your system's going down, and you need people on your side, you give them gifts, right? So that's why Jake is prospering now. It's an illusion, right? Because the signs are obvious, right? That the economy is going to fall, right? Store closures, right? Then you're going to have sedition among men. Then they're going to close off cities, right? Everything is used as a tactic. Fear is used as a tactic, right? So it says, verse 14, and they have not cried unto me upon their heart, because it says, they have held upon their beds and upon corn and wine. They they assemble themselves. They turn back from me, right? So though Jake runs away from the curses, right? Runs away from, right, the judgment of the Lord, right? You can't escape it, right? They haven't returned with the whole heart, meaning with a sincere heart, right? So they howl upon their beds, meaning what? You got particular Jakes that from all that shit they went through, they got PTSD, they've been traumatized, right? Sometimes they get like flashbacks, or sometimes they get nightmares. So it says, upon corn and wine they assemble themselves. That word is gawar, which means to turn back. So the Lord has preserved Jake even to today, right? But Jake, you tribes, you're so ungrateful because you don't appreciate the Lord even feeding you, right? He's kept you clothed, right? You have a place to dwell, but but Jake loves to rebel, right? They assemble themselves for corn and wine. Well, you see that in parts of South America, like Colombia, right? Brazil, constantly going to the oppressor for help. And sometimes it's much, sometimes it's not enough, you know? And why does that happen? Because, right, our forefathers went off and we are our forefathers, right? Your descendant is really you coming back again, right? Because that spirit that you have doesn't just come on earth one time. Every third and fourth generation, right? It comes back in your lineage. You come back in your lineage, right? So the same people you see going off today, they were going off back then, right? Hosea 7 and 15, and I have rebuked, I have strengthened their arms. That word is yasar, so it says you're bound. So it just means rebuke or discipline, right? Because what does right, that brings strength, right? When you live easy and an easy life, you're not necessarily mentally fortified, right? And that's what builds character, right? Adversity, right? It says, and to me they imagine evil. So it says, wa anya yasor daya hazak daya zoraitam wa alya yakashabwa raya. The word zarai means seed or to sow, but it also means arm. Hosea 7 and 16, the last verse, says, they return and they return, but not unto the Most High. They are like a bow, uh, deceitful, which that word ramia um, actually means, what is it? Guile, beguiling. They shall fall upon the sword, their princes, from the what's that? Indignation, sayam, which actually that means doesn't necessarily mean indignation. It means defiance, right? Because of their defiance of their tongue. Says this will be their scorning, because that word la'ag means to scorn or to mock in the land of Egypt, right? Yeshabwa la'a al hayawa bakwashath. Ramya Yapalwa Baharab Sharyaham Mazayam Lashawan Lashawan Ma Zawa Laagma Ba'rataza Matazarium. Because what does the scriptures say? By the words thou shalt be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Woe unto them that offenses what must come, basically, right? There's got to be the remnant, then there has to be 2/3, there has to be the wicked, which is Esau, Edom, and the other nations, right? The workers of iniquity. So everyone is playing their part, right? There's no there's no in betweens, right? So it says, "This shall be their scorning in the land of Egypt," right? Because what did Paul the Apostle say? He said, "The same afflictions that are accomplished in you are accomplished in your brethren in the world," right? So whether you're the remnant, 2/3, right? You're not gonna. It's not gonna be not. It's not gonna be easy at all, right? Because we're in the times of judgment, right? So that's pretty much it. Is Hosea chapter what I go to? Chapter 7? Did I go all the way to chapter 7? Hosea chapter 6 and 7, going into the Hebrew. It's brother Yatazadak, hero of Israel. And as always, Lord willing, you are edified, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Kwame Yashala, Abad Babal, Shalom.